Hello and welcome to another My ASB marriage video. Today I want to talk about poor memory. Does your partner have a poor memory? My husband and my son do. I'll jump straight into an example. When we found out that my son was on the spectrum, I didn't tell him straight away. I didn't want him to feel labelled or I don't know if he was already feeling different, but I didn't want him to openly know that he was. So I held off telling him. And one of the reasons that I did end up telling him was that another parent who has a neurodiverse child said that I should. So I told him, and he was a bit miffed that I hadn't told him straight away. But he said something about being retarded. He says, "Oh, so I'm retarded, great." And I said to him, "Don't say that. That's not a nice word, it's not a nice thing to say about yourself. You're not retarded, don't go there." And then some months later, we were sitting around talking, and he said something about me calling him retarded. And I went, "Hey, I beg your pardon. That's not how that went at all." And then I refreshed his memory and reminded him that he was the one who'd said it and I told him not to. But that's just how his memory goes. He's not very good at remembering who said what, when what happened, how did it happen and what order it happened in and things like this. Amazing memory, obviously, for his special interest and all the details that entails. And even outside of his special interest, because he's got a special interest and he's kind of got a sub-interest, then he's got a whole bunch of things that he's quite good at. And his memory with regards to those things, amazing. Like I can say to him, "Oh, what's that song? Do-do-do-do-do." And he's like, "Oh, I know that one." And he goes and finds the answer for me. Like, he's just that good. So his memory is good in certain ways, obviously for the facts and figures and details that he likes to remember. But situational memory, not so much. And so my husband is the same. So I'll say to him, "Oh, that we've got this thing happening on Friday," and I'll be telling him on Monday. And then I'll remind him on Wednesday, and he'll literally say to me on Wednesday, "Why didn't you tell me?" And I'm like, funny. And I'll say, "I told you on Monday, don't you remember? You didn't tell me, blah, 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 blah. We having a debate about it." "Okay, no problem." And then the date comes and I'm reminding him again and he's agitated. So he doesn't recall that kind of information. And so now we do a thing where I'll go up to him and I'll say, "Look, this thing's happening on Friday. Can you open your calendar and mark that in there?" And I'll go up to him and say, "What have you got on this week?" And I'll put his dates in my calendar so I know not to double plan or plan an event when he has something on. So we kind of coordinate like that because he's, I wouldn't say it's a bad memory about things like that. I don't recall situations like that very easily either, which is why, calendars help. But it's just hilarious to me that I'll tell him something's coming up and he won't remember. We will have the same conversations about things over and over and over again. Sometimes when we're having an argument, he'll say a word or a sentence with a word in it. And I'll say, "What do you mean by X word?" And he will literally say, "I didn't say that." And I'm like, damn, where's the cameras when I need them? Or he'll say something hurtful and then I'll ask him about it later and he'll deny it. He'll say that it didn't happen. And in those moments I don't know, is he just not remembering, or he doesn't want to talk about it, or I've raised it and he's thinking, that I'd rather not go there. I'm not sure what his motives or motivations are behind that, but he will often say, well, I shouldn't say often. He has throughout the relationship said icky, hurtful, yucky things. And when I ask him why he says them, and I usually ask him after I've calmed down, I don't say it in the moment, which is perhaps my own undoing, because by the time I talk to him about it a day or two later, he's forgotten it's been said and doesn't know what I'm talking about. And then I never get a resolution because he can't remember what made him say it in the first place. So, oops, I've got to start asking him at the time that he says it, why would you say that? So an example of a conversation that he and I have over and over and over again, he wants to build a shed to put stuff in, obviously. That's what sheds are for, right? Storage. And he'll come up to me and he'll say, I'm thinking of building a shed. I haven't figured out where to put it yet, or how big or small or whatever it's going to be, blah, 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 and go into details about this shed. And we have had this conversation on average a couple of times a year. And he'll come up to me again and go, I'm thinking of building a shed. Where do you think I should put it? How big should it be? And ask me the same questions. And I'll say to him, you know, we've talked about this before, right? And he'll say, yeah, I'm just nutting out the details. And I'll say to him, well, how about we don't nut out the details until it's actually happening? Because I'm kind of getting a bit over talking about a shed that isn't getting built. I mean, I don't care if it gets built or not. It's not neither here nor there to me. He wants the shed. If he wants the shed, he can get the shed. I just get agitated about having the same conversation about it over and over and over again repeatedly. I mean, we must have talked about it 6 times already. And each time we talk about it, it's the same exact conversation. I'm thinking of getting a shed. Where should I put it? How big should it be? Where should it be facing? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, we've talked about this before, don't you remember? And so now when he says, I'm thinking of getting a shed, I'm just like, and not really joining in that conversation. So I don't know about you. If you are on the spectrum, are you aware that you're doing things like that? How many autistic ASB people do things like that? Is it common? I've spoken to other people whose husbands are the same, but I don't know, again, what percentages. Do they all do it? I'm not sure. One thing I do love about his poor memory is that I can tell the same joke that I've told every year, and he'll laugh like it's the first time he's heard it. That's really funny to me. I guess that's why he thinks I'm funny, because I'm always coming out with these one-liners, but it just happens to be a one-liner I've been saying for 24 years. But I like that about him, in that he can't remember that I've told that joke before, or he can't remember the punchline. And then I tell him the punchline and he's like, oh yeah, that joke, that's funny. So that's one good thing about the poor memory. I can be constantly, spontaneously comic. So it has its benefits. It also has its benefits in that he won't push a subject. I lie by omission, admittedly, because I have a husband who's a critiquer and he fault finds and such. There are all manner of things I'm not going to tell him because he might lose his strons. So, like, I might drop something and it breaks. I'm not going to tell him that. I won't hear the end of it, sort of thing, so I'll keep it to myself. And he'll never push it. Like, he might say, oh, where's that thing gone? Oh, what thing? Oh, no, I can't remember. And that's it. It's all done. That's that conversation. All finished. Nobody got in trouble. He can't remember, and we've moved on. So it comes in handy in that way as well, because he's not remembering all of the finer details. He doesn't push me to ask about those things after the fact, because unless it's right there and then on his mind, it's forgotten. So it does come in handy. Anyway, I'll leave it to you, or over to you, as they say. Can you relate? Are you having similar situations? Leave a comment below. Love to hear from you. And thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope it was helpful, and I really appreciate you being here.